Hey lovelies, it is time for another BYOP. I am so excited to be shopping my eyeshadow stash with all of you today to bring you a Dupe the Vibes. Now, if you are new to this series, I started this with my friend Kara over at Beauty and the Frizz, and we were really just looking to find a way to use more of our single eyeshadows. And if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And today's palette we've chosen is Hallo. Yes, the Shroud Cosmetics and Batty collab. This is of course Betty Jean's second collab with the brand. This is a cute little palette, let me tell you. I'm just gonna jump into this right now. So I was like, oh yeah, cute, like fun little kind of Halloween vibes palette. I can't wait to dupe this. It was a challenge. It was a challenge, I'm not going to lie. So again, this is a Dupe the Vibes. I don't think I nailed it head on. And it was a very interesting journey. I mean, like I said, the whole purpose for starting this series was for Kara and I to have a reason to use our singles more. And we're hoping to encourage you to do the same. If you are a single shadow lover and you have a lot of them and you just find that you haven't been reaching for them enough. But I think this duping session really made me want this palette. Now I do have to say, at the time of filming, this is sold out, but Shroud says that they are going to be doing a restock in the next couple weeks. I just checked on it. So keep your eyes out if you do decide that you want this. I'm gonna give my thoughts on whether I want it at the end. But if you're looking to save some money and you're just looking for some inspiration, maybe you have some of these shades in your collection and you can pull them out and you can create your own little Dupe the Vibes palette. I would love that. Now, if you're new to this series, we've basically only given ourselves one rule, if you will, for this, and that it's that we use 10 shadows. So if you can see, this palette only has 9 shadows. So what we decided to do is to add one little mystery grab bag, like fun little shade. And I think that'll be cool because each of us will have a little something special, a little customization, if you will. And just a hint, you're gonna wanna see the one that I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna hold off till the end. I'm gonna hold off till the end of the swatches because it's a surprise. And at the time this video goes up, the shadow hasn't launched yet. Just a little hint. So we're gonna dive right in now. I'm gonna show you the swatches and we'll create a look. I cannot wait. All right, for this portion, I'm gonna try to stay over here. If you've ever watched my Will I Buy It's, I have a hard time doing that, but I'm gonna try so that we can look at the palette, we can look at the shades together. Here you can see this cute little 9 pan. Now I have to say, I have sort of been not really paying that much attention to Shroud, not because like I have anything against them, but there's just so much makeup to look at and it just hasn't been on my radar. I did see when the original It's Freaking Bats palette came out. I know that a lot of people really love that palette. It had rave reviews, it's had restock after restock, but for me, the color story just wasn't calling my name. Just too many purples, in all honesty. This palette totally calls my name. And honestly, it wasn't even something that I really necessarily had come across until we were starting to talk about the palettes we were considering duping for this month. I really love it. I think I did a pretty good job. I'm hiding my mystery shade here, but I think I did pretty good. There are some things that are off, and I will say there were a couple shades here that I was like, I just don't have anything like that in my collection. And to have a 9 pan, have several shades that I feel like that about, was a lot. I mean, it was a little bit frustrating as a Virgo, like the fact that I couldn't like match things exactly was driving me nuts. But it was also like, wow, I don't have as many, especially like the oranges. I kind of strayed away from getting more oranges because I feel like I had so many of those in my collection. And I'm looking and I'm like, I really don't. And some of these other mattes. Anyway, we're gonna get into this. So let's start. So like I said, this was just a very interesting journey for me as I was swatching my entire collection. So this first shade is Ghastly. And for this shade, I have the shade Taboo from the original Makeup Geek. Now, I'll be honest, it is not a dupe. It is not a dupe by any means. I'm just trying to get the vibe. I was watching Betty Jean's video when she announced this collab, and she was saying that it, you know, she called it a purple. I've seen some people mention it more as like an indigo. The thing about 2 of these mattes, the first one and the last one, is that they are very deep, but they're still very saturated in tone. So this shade, I'll be honest, Makeup Geek is like a lot of brands where they don't swatch quite as good, but they are very beautiful. While it has that deep purpley undertone, I don't feel like it has quite enough of the like saturation of purple as the one in the actual palette does, but it's as close as I could get. I could get brighter purples that were lighter. I could get like blues. I didn't have anything that was like really indigo, which actually I think I kind of want to have in my collection. So I'm gonna have to shop around. If you have one, let me know down below. If you have a indigo single that you love, let me know. But anyway, this next one, this one just totally drove me up the wall. This next one is the shade Afterlife in the palette, and it is like this red orange multi-chrome, like, or at least a duochrome. It might not be a multi-chrome, but I think it really kind of is. It's very shifty, really rich and beautiful. I didn't have it. I had red, I had orange. I had red with orange sparkles, orange with red sparkles, but I didn't have anything that was quite enough. So the one that I actually chose out was Sundazed from Terra Moon. So this, it's not quite the same because this has almost like a gold green, but I do think that that shade actually had some of that. This one just had that like little autumnal kick. I think it's gonna be fitting. It's not quite exact, but I think it's gonna be fitting. And of course, Terra Moons, we all know that they do multi-chromes very, very well. And by the way, I will show you these swatches up close as well. I just thought this way we could kind of see side by side. I don't know. Like I said, it definitely isn't the same. You need more like orange to this for it to be similar, but I don't care. It's, when I was going through, I like it. I think it fits in this palette well. It sort of fits the vibes of the like grungy thing going on, and we're gonna go with it. Speaking of grungy, this next shade I absolutely love. In the palette, the shade is called Crypt, and Betty Jean described this as like a grungy mustard shade. I love this. She mentioned that this is definitely more of like a, again, like that mustardy shade versus the shade in the It's Freaking Bats palette, which is more of like a chartreuse, which, I mean, I love both. I love both grungy mustard and a chartreuse, but I love the like vibes of this. Now, this is the shade Pea Puff from Glam Shop. So this one here, I guess I should show it to you since I didn't already. This shade here, I mean, it could maybe benefit from like a slight bit more brown green to it, but it's pretty close. It is definitely really pretty close. I like the Glam Shop mattes. I think that, you know, obviously we all get drawn into the like shiny tones. The thing about these is they are a very soft, dry shadow. So if that's not your thing, the formula might not be a love for you, but I mean, really, you can get their mattes on sale and they are really inexpensive. So that is from Glam Shop. Now, this one really had a beautiful like gold to yellow, very, very wonderful shift. What I did is I actually pulled out one of the Glam Shop marble shades. This is the shade Scandal. And I wanted to show this one because once you marbleize these together, like once you actually mix them together, they really create this beautiful dimensional shadow. It's not quite exactly the same, but I think it gives off the same vibes. And you really get like a high shine metallic vibe. So I'm just gonna smooth this one out. I will say, like, if you use if you use the marbles, and you know what, honestly, I don't even think that they make these anymore. I was looking on the website, but if you do have some in your collection and I don't know, you haven't used them yet, if you do use these, you really want to make sure to be doing it when you don't have your face done, because the fallout can be kind of crazy. But ooh, oh, look at that. Look at that in the light, like ba-bam! It's so pretty. Okay, so that is our next shade for Woodsboro. Now, again, another one that I sort of struggled with. This is the shade It's Showtime. And of course, this is sort of like themed off of Beetlejuice. This one, it's almost like a grungy, limey Kelly green. Like, again, it's kind of grungy, but it still is very, very vibrant. And I feel like I either have grungy greens or I have vibrant greens in my singles collection. I've really been trying to slow my roll on greens because I tend to grab for the grungies and then I've got all the same shades. But I'm kind of like, oh, I really like that green. That was one that sort of drew me in to be like, but do I want this palette? Anyway, the shade that I chose was a Sydney Grace, and this shade is Green Anjou. And of course, if you know your Sydney Grace mattes, it is beautiful. It is creamy. I love this shade. Again, it's just not quite as like vibrant. Oh, pinky swatches are always the worst, y'all. Yeah, see, it's just not popping. And I know the lights are kind of up right now, but it's just not quite the same. So it just doesn't give me what I wanted, but I couldn't find anything. That's the closest I could get. Okay, another one that I was really struggling with is Black Flame. This is the shadow that sort of makes me want this palette. And the thing is like, from what I have seen, when I watched Betty Jean's video, like she was doing little hand swatches, and this one is very, very shifty. It really shifts from like a deep purple to like a beautiful like grungy green and almost like a little bit of like a shifty murky gold. I don't have anything. I don't have it. I don't have it at all. The closest I have, and I think that like a lot of people have this one. I'll be curious to see what the other girls do, because I know that Kendra Morgan Official is jumping in on this one as well. So I will again, of course, make sure to have her channel linked down below along with Kara's. I know that she has a pretty good singles collection. Kara has a good singles collection. I'm just going to be curious to see what they have that is maybe close to this, but I had to go with Divina Australis. It's not the same. It's really not the same. But it sort of has a little bit of that vibe. Australis is sort of like a lighter version of this because it does have a pink to gold to green flip, but it's lighter, you know? This is more like if you don't love super deep looks, and that is one thing that I will say about this palette, like a lot of it is gonna be really deep looks because of, you know, the shades that are in here. But you can see you do get some of that purple to green to gold. It's just, yeah, there. I mean, like here, you see a little bit more of that like purple there, but it's still not quite purpley enough for me, but it's as close as I could get. All right, another shade that I pulled out a Makeup Geek one for is the shade Losers Club. So this, I used the shade Morocco, and this is a Makeup Geek shadow. This one I really like. I remember when I got this, like this was in my orange heyday. This is like a burnt reddy orange. Like it definitely has a little bit of that like earthy undertone to it. Yeah, I really like this one. It definitely has that vibe. I think we did pretty good on this one. All right, now let's take a peek at what I chose for the shade Ghoulish. So this is a translucent multi-chrome. When Betty Jean was talking about it, she was saying that it has like, you know, sort of that like little like green iridescence. I swatched several, and this one is the shade Bling from Glam Shop. You're of course not really gonna be able to see any of that. This is one of the Turbo Glow shades. It is very, very pretty. So this has, it definitely has that green shift. It has a little bit of like, I almost see a little bit of like a blue here. Oh, and just like Betty Jean mentioned in her video, you can't really see the magic of this like on camera sometimes. So you can see it's almost like blue and green. You've of course got like a yellow, a little bit of white. It's all the shades. It's all the shades. I really do like this one. I haven't used this one in a while. I'm excited to put it in this palette because I think just like last month, I'm gonna keep this palette out for a while and play with it. So then our last shade, again, this was one that I really struggled to find that like depth and that saturation of color and that still that amount of vibrancy. This is a beautiful shade. It is the shade Wicked. So what I went for was the shade Rainforest from Sydney Grace. I think this is close. It's like an 8. If 10 is a dead-on dupe, I think that this is an 8. And you know what? An 8 is great. I was messaging my friend Stephen Ford and I was like, oh, this palette, like this BYOP is making me want this palette. Like, and the whole point is to use my single shadows more, not to start buying a bunch of palettes. And, you know, it's like, okay, good enough is going to be good enough. And this is definitely one of those shades. It's very close. It's, like I said, it's an 8. I really do love the shade. And you know what? I haven't been pulling it out enough. I can't remember the last time I used this shade. So that is all of the shades for me duping the original Hollow Bean palette. Now we get to get into the fun customization of this one. So if you know me, you know that I love a good inner corner pop. And I really feel like this palette, unless you're gonna do the green matte as your inner corner, really the only option you have is that Ghoulish shade, the like translucent white one. So of course I had to put in another inner corner shade, but it's also a shade that I have worn all over the lid, and it is gorgeous. And it is one that is gonna be in the new Divina Phantom Orbs collection, and I'm so excited to show it to you. This is the shade Soul Lays. Oh my gosh. You can't even see her. You can't even see her. So the thing about this collection, and that's why it was called Phantom Orbs, is that it's really one of those like very sneaky shades. It's like so shifty but sheer that like you really have to like get it into the light and on the eye. You really have to get it onto the skin to really be able to see it. This is like a beautiful like velvet formula that it's just so different. It's so different than from a lot of the other like multi-chromes I've ever used. So let's get a beautiful finger swatch of this. Now, if you are curious to know a little bit more about this collection, my video will be going up the day after this one goes up. So the new collection launches on October 1st, and on the 30th, my video with all 6 of the shades. I'm doing eye swatches. I'm gonna do comparison swatches. So all of the info will be up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are so you don't miss out. But let's take a look at this beautiful shade. I mean, you're not even gonna be able to see the magic of this one. I'm gonna like pop this down just a little bit. There we go. Oh. So I popped my light down just so you could see. How pretty is she? I mean, again, I don't feel like in the pan, it's like, oh, she's kind of pink with a little bit of shift, but it's like, oh, the minute you like touch it to the skin, it's magical. And I think that this brings a fun little option to this palette because it is, oh, I mean, look, you've got gold, a little bit of green in there. You've got this beautiful like pinky peach moment. Of course, I'm gonna show this to you up close too, but oh, I mean, it is just so fun. And I think that this adds a little bit of light and bright. You know, you've got like something with some pink to it, which is kind of fun, but you can really pull it in and wear it with this like green. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's also going to look great with Australis, which I think is what I'm going to do for the look. We'll see. But before I get into playing with these on my swatch, I'm going to show you up close all of these shades. I don't know, man, seeing these swatch now, they're pretty close. Again, these mattes right here and here, I feel like they just aren't as saturated in tone. This one needs to be a little bit of a deeper green, but other than that, I am pretty happy with this. I think I did a pretty good job, and I do really like the addition of Soul Lays. I mean, oh, look at that. It's freaking incredible. So pretty. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play with, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm honestly not quite sure where I'm going to go. Of course, I'm going to use Soul Lays. Now that I've shown the final reveal, should I just give you an up close look here? I mean, lovelies, I think we did a pretty good job here. Yeah. So I'm gonna, of course, use Soul Lays just because I want you to be able to see how beautiful that is. I want you to get a little sneak peek before the collection comes out. And other than that, I'm not quite sure. I also made sure to keep my options open. I only have bronzer on. I'll probably pop on a little blush and a lip once we're done so that I'm not like fenced in. I don't end up being mismatchy. So just enjoy the music, kick back.
Here I find myself again, time traveling only in my head. From the past to future play, more change, yeah. My emotions are valid, but the goal is not to be triggered every time. Never mind, it's just life. It's okay for my sanity to choose perfect peace, and I'll forever and always be here, present. I am enough as I am. I am fully equipped, even when the tide and the current start to shift. I am adaptable. I am adaptable.
All right, here with the finished eye look. I love it. Look, you can just see the different shift. Oh, I mean, look at that. It's like, so good. And I think it pairs with Australis so well. And I love the mix of the purple in the outer corner, the green, and like the kind of grungy mustard. I wasn't sure. I was like, am I going to look like I'm bruised? Like it's an old bruise if I put the like yellow out there next to the purple, but I think it worked just fine. And I wanted to keep a clean lower lash line, so I just like popped a little bit of that dark purple. I really wanted the inner corner and the lid to be the star of the show. And of course, I always start out like, I'm gonna do a more rounded eye shape, and then I always end up extending it out. It just always happens. So now that I know what this is looking like, I think I'm gonna go through with a blush. I've got the MAC Glow Play blush here in Rosy Does It. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit on to kind of give that like berry look to the cheek, because I think I'm gonna use this shade as a highlight. Will I regret it? I don't know, maybe, but there's only one way to find out. So let's go ahead and take a brush. What did I just grab here? The contour brush from Real Techniques. I literally just needed a brush, y'all. Sometimes it's just about grabbing a brush that's relatively clean, let's be honest. Yeah, this just gives like just enough of a pop of color. Okay, I like that. Now, let's try this out. I don't know, I haven't done this before. I'm just gonna take an eyeshadow brush actually. This is just a Spectrum B06.5, and I'm just gonna like give it like a boop into Soleil's. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Oh mama, oh mama. Oh my gosh, this is fun. Okay, this is so fun. It's definitely different because it's very shifty. It shifts from like green into that like pinky, peachy, but that is very pretty. And my skin is not necessarily living its best life right now, and it isn't picking like too much texture up. And of course you could build that up. Like you saw that I had it pretty built up. That's not my aesthetic. And of course, pop a little on the lip. That's fun. You'll have to let me know what you think. Would you wear this as a highlight? I mean, it is so much fun. Like, again, not my everyday, but definitely a lot of fun, especially with this eye look. I think because the eye look is green, it just really like gives the vibe. I'm here for it. I'm gonna go ahead and find a lipstick, probably something berryish. I'll be back with some final thoughts and whether or not I'm gonna end up buying the Hallo palette. All right, I love this look. I would 100% wear this look exactly as it is, and I'm gonna do that when I'm not, again, about to head to yoga soon. This is gonna be an interesting look for yoga. I'm not gonna wash it off, I'm gonna wear it. So I ended up going through with New Wave. This is one of the insanely saturated lipsticks. I literally just like dabbed a little on and smushed it all over. That's how insanely saturated these are. I just wanted a bit, but boy, I think it goes really, really well. Again, I'm still loving that highlight. I mean, I could totally build this up and make it more like space age vibes, but I do like the subtlety of this. Sometimes I think it's not necessarily about like being the loudest. Sometimes it's about that little like, oh, hold on, what was that there? Like that little like double take. All right, speaking of double takes, let's take a look at this palette. Again, now that I've worn it, I think from the shades that I chose anyway, I think I did a pretty good job duping. I think on the eyes, because I did watch a couple of Betty Jean's looks that she did, I think it's very similar. The thing about the lid shade, the one that I used Divina Australis for, what was it? Black Flame. This one presents with more green to it than Black Flame does. That one presents with more of the purple. The thing of it is though, is at the end of the day, I think I like this better just for my personal makeup preferences. I think I would wear this color more than the more like purpley purple shift of that shade. It's very pretty. It's unlike anything I have, right? But I just don't know that I would reach for it that much. It's more the, ooh, I don't have that, than the, ooh, I would really use that, right? And as far as the green shade that I used, I do feel like that the shade in the palette does have a little bit more kick in the pants to it, but not enough necessarily that I should like run out and buy that. I really like the greens in that palette. I will not lie. So I definitely can say right now, I'm not gonna run out and buy the Hallo palette. Like if anything, I would maybe consider it if there was ever a very good sale on it. But I just know that like these palettes are so popular that I don't see them like doing like a clearance sale or like last chance sale, because they're probably just gonna keep restocking this one because I think it's pretty. But I think that what I came up with here is really gonna give me that flavor. It gives me that vibe. I'm gonna keep this out on my little like vanity here to use throughout the month because I think it's gonna be a fun one. And you know what, since Shroud said that they're gonna talk about a restock in the next couple weeks, I could use this a few times and really see if it's something that I think that I would need. Or is it that palette that like, I don't think I have that. And then I get it, use it once, think it's amazing, and then it like goes in the drawer to never be seen again. So I'm definitely excited that I did this. I am definitely excited that you came along for the ride. You'll have to let me know, what do you think of this look? You'll have to let me know, did you snag the palette? Are you gonna try to dupe this palette? I would love to know what your thoughts are down in the comments. And again, if you do want to see the full Phantom Orbs collection from Divina, I can't wait to show that to you tomorrow or Friday, depending on when you are watching this. Thanks again. This was so fun. And make sure that you do check out Kara and Kendra's videos. If there's any other creators that I know that are jumping in this month, I will have them linked down below. And if you want to jump in next month we are going to be doing a jewel toned palette. So I think that's going to be very fun. Tipping into fall, we'll have some rich, yummy colors. So I am definitely excited for that one and hope that you will enjoy it as well. And as always, if you are not a content creator but you want to share a fun little eyeshadow palette that you created with us, please tag me on Instagram at Keep Beauty Real. I would love to see what you have come up with in your collection. We're shopping our stash, we're using our things. Thanks, lovelies. I will see you really soon.